Hey, welcome to today's episode of Let's Bake Together. Today we're going to make a s'mores Rice Krispie roll-up. This is a great thing to have pretty much all year round, but when you really love s'mores in the summertime and you don't want to build a fire every single night, this is a great treat to have. So the ingredients we need today are Rice Krispies, graham crackers, some sort of chocolate chip. Today I'm going to be using a dark chocolate, but you could use semi-sweet, you could use milk. But we're trying to recreate the s'mores experience, so you could use Hershey bars if you really like that. I just like dark chocolate a lot, so I'm going to use dark chocolate. You're also going to need plenty of marshmallows. So I've just got big ones and little ones. It doesn't really matter. I want to preserve some of our big ones for when we do have fires, and so I'm going to just use some of those, but not all of the ones we have. And you also need some butter. So I always use salted butter. You can use unsalted butter. I just prefer the flavor that salted butter brings out. You're also going to need a microwave safe bowl, because if you've ever made Rice Krispies on the stove, you probably have discovered that sometimes you can burn them and they become hard as rock. But when you do it in the microwave, that never happens. So you're going to start with your bowl. You're going to clear off our workstation and you're going to put in your marshmallows. Now most recipes, I remember growing up and we would count out 40 marshmallows and it would take all, that was like our job because we were the little people. Okay, here you go, count 40 marshmallows. And so we would count 40 marshmallows. Or you can just use the entire bag. I kind of wing a lot of my cooking, and so I don't have a lot of measurements for everything. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think that cooking is an art and a science, but once it stops being fun, then it really takes away a lot of the joy. So today, I am going to just make a partial batch because I'm going to have another episode coming up right after this of another kind of Rice Krispie roll-up, and frankly my family doesn't need that many Rice Krispie roll-ups. So you might want to use an entire bag, and if you're going to use an entire bag of marshmallows, then you're going to use 3 tablespoons of butter. If you're not going to use an entire bag, well then cut it down. Maybe you're going to use 2/3 of the bag and you're going to use 2 tablespoons of butter, or you're going to use half of the bag, you're going to use 1.5 tablespoons of butter. So you're going to add your butter now. Like I said, if you use an entire bag, use 3 tablespoons of butter. If you look at Rice Krispie recipes, some of them, like on the back of this box, look at this. This recipe right here calls, oops, can you see it? There you go. It calls for an entire ½ cup of butter. But then it does also call for 2 packages, so I guess that counts. But still, that's calling for a ¼ cup of butter. Another recipe I've seen calls for a little bit less, some call for a little bit more. So the more butter you have, the more oily your Rice Krispie treats are going to be, but at the same time, if you have too little butter, then they're going to be really crispy. So you're going to take this with your butter in your glass bowl with your marshmallows. You're going to put this in the microwave for 1 minute. All right, now while that is heating up, I'm going to open up my Rice Krispies. This is Rice Krispies, or crispy rice, from Aldi, and one thing that I like about this is I noticed it is gluten-free. Normal Rice Krispies from Kellogg are not gluten-free because they have malt in them, but these ones truly are gluten-free. I checked the ingredients, so for those who want a gluten-free experience, these are a great opportunity. However, today we will be using graham crackers, so this is definitely not a gluten-free recipe. So you're going to open up your box of Rice Krispies, and you're also going to open up your box of graham crackers. You're not going to need a lot of graham crackers, but you're going to need some. So open up just 1 sleeve of graham crackers. Okay. Now, your microwave probably just beeped like mine. So grab a wooden spoon and you're going to stir up your marshmallows. They should be fluffy and beautiful, but not completely melted yet. That butter, you see it's still floating around there. So I'm going to stir it up as much as I can, get that butter as melted as I can. because you also don't want to microwave it too much, because then again, you're going to overcook that sugar and then they will become harder than you want. But at least you won't burn it like on the stove. See, I've got these lumps of marshmallow still in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put it in for 20 seconds more. There we go. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to need to do is get my pan ready. You can prepare any kind of pan you want. I'm going to use a jelly roll pan. I like this because it's not very deep, so I'm not going to be over tempted to overfill it. And I also like that it's really easy to get things out of it. The deeper the pan, sometimes it's harder to get it out. And with this recipe, we're going to want to roll it. And so we're going to need to be able to get at it pretty easily. Now you can line this with parchment. You can spray it with cooking spray. You can put a silicone mat underneath. I'm going to put a silicone mat on mine. And I'm going to grab the marshmallows out of the microwave. So stir that up, get the last of those marshmallows melted. There we go. Okay, now let's take care of that pan real quick. Let's do it as quick as we can before our marshmallows cool. Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. I am going to use cooking spray and spray mine real lightly. I don't want it to stick since we have to roll it up. Okay, now that I've got my pan ready, I'm going to take my bowl and now I'm going to pour my Rice Krispies in. In a typical recipe, you're going to use 6 cups of Rice Krispies for an entire bag of marshmallows and 3 tablespoons of butter. But I'm going to not use that because I didn't make a full recipe, so I'm just going to use about 4 cups. However, with this specific recipe, we also are going to be using graham crackers. So I'm going to take my graham crackers, and like I said, I like to eyeball things a lot. So I'm going to take about 4 graham crackers. And this is where it can be really fun. I'm going to just crush these. I'm going to crush them in. I'm going to have some big pieces, some little pieces, some crumbs. And I'm just going to crush those right in there. Then I'm going to take my Rice Krispies. And because I put all of those graham crackers in, I'm only going to put 3 cups of Rice Krispies in to start. And then we can take a look at it as we stir it, and if we need to, we can add some more. So 3 cups of Rice Krispies, and now I'm going to stir it up. The graham cracker and the Rice Krispies in there. And when you're stirring up Rice Krispies, you're going to be looking for, you see those strings of marshmallow? If you have too many Rice Krispies in there, it's not going to be stringy like that. If you have too many marshmallows and not enough Rice Krispies in there, then you're going to have these big globs of marshmallow and not enough cereal to hold it together. And so you're just going to have a really sticky and gooey mess. But this looks just right. Okay, you see all of those? It's like a big spider web. That's awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to take my pan and I'm going to pour this into my pan and I'm going to press it down, but not too hard. If I'm going to press it too hard, then it's going to become compact and then it's not very good to eat. And I also realized, you know what? I'm going to use this other pan for my next class and I'm going to swap and use a smaller pan. That's not a very pretty pan, but you know what? I'm not baking it, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to just spray this one real quick, and now I'm going to press my Rice Krispies graham cracker mix right onto here. I guess that's not a very good view for you to be able to see, but you're doing your own thing, so you don't need to watch that. And now everybody turned and watched anyway. Okay, so I'm just going to scrape the end of this out. Licking the bowl is always the best part. Now, because I made just a partial batch, it's not going to fill my pan all the way, and that's okay. I'm just going to scrape the rest of this. Now, when I was a kid, also, we would then take the butter, because since we didn't use an entire stick, and we would rub our hands with butter, and the butter would then we'd be able to press this down without getting it to stick all over our hands. I find that if you just press it without really squashing it with your fingers, it works just fine. Now the wonderful thing about Rice Krispies is that because they are not going to be baked, they're not going to spread. So you can press them into any form. If I wanted to, look at this, I could make this into a heart shape. And then I could say, oh look, it's for Valentine's Day. But you know what, I don't want it in a heart shape today. So I'm going to squish it into a rectangle as best that I can. Okay, now another thing to keep in mind with this recipe, we do want to roll it up at the end, which means we're gonna have a really, really thick roll if our marshmallow right now is really thick, because you can imagine rolling this up, it's gonna be humongous. We're also gonna put other things on the inside. So you do wanna press it down, not till it's totally flat and squashed, but enough that it's not going to be super bulky. You definitely want it to be less than an inch, probably a ½ inch thick would be good. But again, remember, this is an art and not just a science. Okay, so now that I've got this, and you see sometimes it wants to spread apart, we want to keep it compact. And as the marshmallow cools, it'll hold it all together. That's another thing, if you have too much butter in your Rice Krispie recipe, then it's not going to stick together. That marshmallow is going to be so oily and slick that you're going to lose a lot of the cohesion that the marshmallows give it. Okay, so I've got mine. You notice it doesn't fill the pan, and that's okay. I'm totally fine with that because I'm not going to leave it in the pan. That's not the point of this recipe. Okay, now I need to get another microwave safe bowl because we're going to make the next part. In fact, you're going to need 2 microwave safe bowls, so you can grab them both if you want. At this time, the first one needs to be about a medium size and the next one needs to be about a small one. Not too small, but small enough. So I'm going to grab that. All right, I'm going to move these out of the way. Those can just wait. And now here's my next bowl. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the other marshmallows that I didn't use, but otherwise you're going to want to take, if you're going to use big marshmallows, you're going to want maybe 12 to 15 more marshmallows. If you're going to use little marshmallows, you're going to want to use maybe about a cup. Then you're going to take a little bit of butter. I'm going to go for less than, you see if I cut this right here, I'm going to have a ½ tablespoon. I'm going to go for even less than that, just a little bit, because I don't want my marshmallows to be too slick, but I also don't want them to just be a sticky marshmallow goo. So I'm just going to use a bit of a sliver. Okay, oh my word, that wasn't even visible on the screen, but look, that's just a sliver of butter. Pop that in there. I'm going to put this in the microwave for 30 seconds. All right, while that's in the microwave, I'm going to take my other bowl and I'm going to take my chocolate. And I am going to put, because I really like chocolate, I'm going to put about a cup of chocolate, about a cup of chocolate chips into my bowl. Okay, and then we'll swap this out. When the marshmallows come out, this is going to go in. There it is. So I put my chocolate in for 30 seconds, and now I'm going to mix this up. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to take my pan and I'm going to spread this marshmallow right on top. Because the marshmallow, honestly, I could just eat marshmallows and skip the graham crackers and the chocolate when I'm sitting at the fire, especially if it's perfectly golden brown. I love marshmallows. And sometimes I could just eat an entire bag of marshmallows, just the mini ones. I don't really love the big ones. What about you? Do you like marshmallows as much as I do? So I'm going to spread this out. So if you used a big pan and made a full batch, you're going to want to have used more marshmallows, right? And if you get here and you're like, you know what, this is too thin, I want more marshmallows, it's easy to add more. You can always just heat a little bit more up for 30 more seconds. Add a tiny bit of butter so that it'll spread. Otherwise it gets super, super sticky. Now you might be thinking, hey, can't I just use marshmallow fluff for this? You can. You can. I didn't for 2 reasons. Number 1, I don't have it on hand. And number 2, because it doesn't taste like marshmallows to me. I think it's a great ingredient to have like for fudge, but it's not the same as just gooey marshmallows. And I really wanted to have the texture of gooey marshmallows. Okay, so there we go. Ooh, and that, look, there's even some to lick on the spoon. My daughter wants to eat that. Should I let her? I think I'll let her. Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Now my chocolate has beeped. So I'm gonna get that, but I don't think that they're ready. Milk chocolate is gonna melt a lot faster than dark chocolate because of the ingredients that are in it. So mine needs to go in a little bit more. Yours might be done. If yours is done, you can right now spread that right on top of your marshmallows, but I'm gonna put mine back in. All right, now one thing you can do whenever you're waiting is you can start cleaning up, or you can start licking the bowl, because look, there's a little there, there's a little there. That looks like a good snack. Otherwise, just clean up your area, put things away, so then when you are done, you'll be ready to eat instead of having to clean up. All right, there's my chocolate. Let's take a look at this. Oh, it's better. It's better, but it's not quite there. Stir that up as much as I can. Now, I bet if you use chocolate chips at this point, or semi-sweet chocolate chips, I mean, that they are ready, because they also have different ingredients in them and they melt faster than dark chocolate. I dropped one, and you know what? I'm gonna leave it there. That's gonna be like the special prize, and put this back in. I love fires. I love the smell of fires, and I love the way that fires dance. I love watching the flames. I love the shadows. I love the sound. We love putting pine boughs in our fires because it crackles. And this winter, we were given tons of pine boughs for Christmas decorations. But then when Christmas was over, we tossed them all in the garden and waited until spring. And then we took all of them and put them in the fire, and it was so fun. I'll check my chocolate one more time. All right. Ooh, that's looking so good. Now, you know what? I feel like I have a choice here. I could let this keep melting and get rid of all of those little chunks, or I could leave those little chunks and let them be part of our deliciousness here. Mine are starting to go away quite a bit, so I think I'm going to leave whatever's left as part of our dessert. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to spread it right here on my marshmallows. Okay. You might need to get a spatula, scrape out every last bit, or save it for a snack. That's always good too. Okay, and I'm just gonna spread this around. I don't know if you can hear Frozen playing in the background upstairs. I can hear it. Okay. Here we go. There, that looks so good. What do you think, Maisie? Does that look good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I wish it wasn't dark chocolate. I wish it was white chocolate.
You know, our next class, the next episode is going to have white chocolate. So if you're not a chocolate fan, that's okay, because there's so many ways you can make a Rice Krispie roll up. Okay, that looks awesome. Now, another thing I love about Rice Krispies is that they are so child friendly because you don't have to wait forever for them to be ready. I don't think we want to eat it like this though. However, I do want to roll it up while this chocolate is still melted, because otherwise it won't stick to itself. So I'm going to take it from the short side. I could take it from the long side, but I want to get a really nice roll. I'm worried that if I rolled it this way that we wouldn't get a lot of rolling in. I'm sorry, my hands aren't even in this. So I'm going to start from this side and I'm going to just fold it over. You want to get the tightest roll at the beginning. And I'm going to slowly roll. And again. And just roll that right up. Okay.
Looks like spider web.
You can see that it starts pushing out a little bit, but you know what? Who cares? The only thing that that's going to do is kind of make it a little messy. So there it is. There it is, and that looks so good. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip that over. I'm going to leave it on my pan, and I'm going to put this in the fridge for about 3 minutes, okay? Because I want that chocolate to start to solidify. Depending on the kind of chocolate you use, it'll take longer or shorter to get hard. Let's also take a look at it. Can you see it from the end? Oh, that looks so perfect. Okay, I'm gonna pop this in the fridge, not the microwave. That wouldn't make any sense. Put this in the fridge for a couple minutes. All right, so now, ooh, I can lick the spoon. That would be good. Do you want to lick the spoon? No, she doesn't want to lick the spoon today. All right, so I'm also going to wash my hands. Are your hands looking like mine? I'm going to wash my hands real quick. Okay, so one thing I notice on YouTube is there's a lot of how-to videos that show you how to do things, but they just go so fast. And that's one reason I wanted to do this channel, so that we could cook and bake together at the same time. If I have to wait 5 minutes, you have to wait 5 minutes. If I have to put something in the oven or walk across the room or have to get something out of my cupboard, so do you. And so we can do this and be successful together. So while we wait for another minute, I want to just be present. No? You don't want to be present?
No.
Okay. Well, you can always go run around your house 5 times. You could always do 25 jumping jacks just standing here in the kitchen. You can unload the dishwasher. You can do your dishes. You can go practice the piano really quick. Or you can just be. Now, ordinarily, right now at this point, when you finish making yours, it would be done, but it's not ready to be cut. The reason I put mine in the not the microwave, why do I keep saying the microwave? The reason I put mine in the fridge was so that I could cut it and show you what it looks like. You definitely do not want to leave it in the fridge because then it will all get hard and that's not so fun. So you can leave it out. And mine, you see how soft that is? It's still gonna squish a bit, but I just wanted to cut it. So yours is gonna be a lot prettier in the end than mine is because yours is gonna have time to set. But just to show you, we're gonna cut this open right here and take a look. Now, because my chocolate is all melted, it's kind of sloppy looking, but I'm not concerned about that because it's gonna be delicious. And here's what it is on the inside. Some more goodness. So there you go. That's how we're gonna make a s'more roll up today. Stay tuned for my next episode where we're going to learn a white chocolate Oreo Rice Krispie roll up. Same concept, different filling. Thanks so much for cooking with me.